We'd like to welcome you to the YouTube video by Plygem on how to install Plygem vertical siding panels on sidewalls. So what we got here is we're going to show you a couple different things. We're going to actually put siding, a little sample of how you do it on a regular full wall, and then we're going to show you how to do it in a gable, as Eric's showing you there. So again, when we talk about vertical siding, we want to make sure you understand that there's a lot of options. You can either do board and batten, which is probably the most popular one, and Eric's showing you one there. It's 7 inches and it's got an 1.5 inch board to it, and those are the most common. But soffits can be used too, and we'll show you a piece of soffit. You can use any type of soffit. Make sure it's approved with the color, so you can have a 3 3 1/3, a 4 4. So all those can be soffits too if the color is approved for it. So let's cover a couple other things. In either case, when you're doing soffit or board and batten, the key things you need to know installing it, it's going to have a J channel at the bottom and a J channel at the top if it's a full wall, as Eric's showing you. That's critical. And that board and batten has to move between the two J's and not sit in the bottom or touch the top. So we want a 3/8 inch gap into the bottom J, and we want about a 1/4 inch gap in the top. And in that bottom J, let's talk about that. It's either in the whole wall or the gable. That J channel at the bottom is going to have water. So Eric's going to show you one of those. And what you need to do with the bottom J, you need to drill holes in the bottom leg, about a 1/4 inch, no more than 2 feet on center. And as that water comes down the wall, it's going to drip out onto the lower area. And we'll show you that in the transition. So that's very, very critical. Let's talk about nailing before we put this piece up. Any vertical panel or accessory, the rules change a little bit. You have to nail in the top of the top slot because we want that panel to hang and retain that 1/4 inch gap on the top. So he's showing you, and you never want it tight. You want about a 32nd inch gap. So every panel must be nailed in the top or screwed, and then no more nailing, and they must be every 12 inches or less. This is critical. A lot of issues occur when they're nailed too far apart, and those nails will be loose, but in the center of the slots. So 10 inches is good. That allows the panel to move. So that is very, very critical. We're going to start with the full panel. And again, there's 2 options you can do. You can either balance the wall if it's a short wall, and you can start and end with the same piece. But what we're going to do here on this full wall, we're going to start with the full piece so we can show you how to end it and start it. So some of the options is starting a full piece, and he's got a full piece here. You can actually take a starter strip and you can stick it into the left side, as we're going to go left to right here. And that's one option he's showing you. The other option is to take a panel, cut the nail hem off with the utility blade, and use that as a starter and install that in the channel. So he's got one of those cut, and he's already installed it in there. So what he's actually going to do now is he's going to take the full panel, lock it in to that cut nail hem, and we're going to have that lock in. So in this case, we're starting with a full panel. Now, when we install this, the other installer is going to make sure that it's not sitting in that bottom J and make sure that it's hanging between the 2 J channels. So again, we're going to put another piece up, and we're going to show you how that all is going to install. So that's how you lock it in. You take the next piece, and you just pull it, make sure it's sitting between the J's. Very easy to install. The board and batten is a great looking product. And then the last piece, we're going to measure from that nail hem into the J channel on the right. And when we do this piece, we're going to actually make sure that we put a utility trim. Eric's going to show you the utility trim that's going to go into the other side. That utility trim is going to go, of course, vertically, and it's going to go into the J, which he has it in there already. And then we're going to take the other piece, the last piece, he's measured what he needs, and he's going to put a snap lock lug, just a couple of them, and that will hold that last piece, and we'll show you. So you use a snap lock tool, and you make sure the lugs go away from the wall. He'll just put a couple in. You don't really need too many. And this actually holds the last piece in. You won't have to worry about this in the gable because it ends into a channel. So he'll lock that in, snap it into the utility trim, and then that wall is done. So that's how you do a whole wall. Again, if you have more than 10 feet, you want to put a flashing and 2 J channels, which we're going to show you in the transition. You cannot overlap board and batten panels. They must have a transition. It won't work. So we're going to kind of show you that on the other wall. Let's move over to the gable because it's really popular here. So you see a transition from horizontal to vertical panels. And what Eric actually has done here, he's used a bottom J channel to finish off the siding. You can see that in the tan color. Then he's taken a head flashing. You probably matched the color, but he wants you to see it. Now he's going to show you a sample of that and how these J channels look within each other. So here's a red piece. That would be there. Let's put the 2 J channels in, and those J channels would be on the top that we already installed. That would be on the top of the flashing. So let's put the flashing in, show the 2 J channels. And then you have another J channel that's going up for the vertical panels. So that J channel that's on the upper piece will be held off of the flashing so that water can drain. So we'll hold that up a little bit. That's the J channel that's going to have the holes drilled in it. So we got it all set up. We got our 2 J's, our starter J, our finished J for horizontal. We got the flashing in between. Now, you have 2 options with a gable. You can line it up so you center the board and batten in the center of the peak. That can look good. It's hard to do. Or you can start with a transition channel in the middle and go both directions. And that's what Eric did here. He's actually using a T channel. Works great. Again, you probably want to match the color maybe, and then you go in both directions. You also can use 2 back-to-back J channels. That's another option that you could use in the center. We'll show you that, and then run your panels in either direction. Either one works. So with this case, you now have your center. You're going to be perfectly symmetrical. Again, you want to nail each piece. We put a couple pieces in here so you can see how good it looks. But each piece you put in, you get the right angle. You can make a pattern. You nail each piece going in both directions in the top nail slot and every 10 to 12 inches. And now you've got a finished gable end. It's a great way to use vertical siding, both board and batten and soffit. So hopefully this was helpful to you. We want to thank you for attending, and make sure to check out all the other PlyGem YouTube videos to help you with installation.